session de réunion régulière.
Réunion régulière. Proposé, secondé, Mme Simard. Tout le monde en faveur? Merci. On lit la résolution. Il y a quelqu'un qui l'a sur Scribe? Oui,
j'essaie encore.
Whereas this reorganization would benefit from the creation of a daycare coordinator position, whereas we have a vacant administrative assistant position that will not be filled, be it resolved that Council authorize the Community Services to proceed with the creation of the coordinator of daycare services position as proposed in Report LOI 2017-03-05.
Secondé, M. Zat. Question? Tout le monde en faveur? Merci. Les annonces. Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un qui a des annonces? Oui, Mme Simard.
Je vais le faire en français et en anglais. Je voulais simplement annoncer qu'un membre de notre communauté a fait les auditions à la voix la semaine dernière. Oui, originaire de Saint-Pascal, a passé la deuxième ronde de duel hier soir. De duel, excuse. Je vous demande de l'encourager pour qu'il progresse à son objectif. Vous pouvez le voir sur YouTube ou sur le site web de la voix et au courant que s'il continue, mais on peut voter.
Son nom, Mme Simard?
Willis Pride. No, en anglais, I wanted to let you all know that Willis Pride, originally from Saint Pascal, made the blind auditions on La Voix 2 weeks ago, and last night he made it through the dual round. I ask that as a community, we support this local artist in order for him to progress towards his main goal. You can see him on YouTube or on La Voix's website.
OK. Autre annonce? Merci. Période de questions. Si quelqu'un a des questions, c'est le temps de les poser. Approchez-vous. Votre nom, votre adresse. C'est bien. Item de membre de conseil. Résolution présentée par la conseillère Christa Simard au sujet de permis d'affaires. On va y voir, Mme Simard.
Qu'il soit résolu que le Conseil ordonne le personnel de rembourser la peine attendu que certaines entreprises n'ont pas reçu d'avis de renouvellement de permis d'affaires. Qu'il soit résolu que le Conseil ordonne le personnel de rembourser la pénalité sur le permis d'affaires 2017 et qu'il soit résolu que le Conseil ordonne au personnel de ne pas émettre d'amende à cet égard et qu'il soit également résolu que le personnel ainsi qu'un membre du Conseil soit chargé de réviser la procédure du règlement sur les permis d'affaires et en ce qui concerne les avis de rappel.
Secondé. M. Zat. Question? Aucune. Tout le monde en faveur? Merci. Item par consentement.
Qu'il soit résolu que les items suivants, tels qu'identifiés sur la rubrique item par consentement à l'ordre du jour de la réunion régulière du 20 mars 2017 soient adoptés. 10.1. Adoption des procès-verbaux des réunions suivantes. A. Réunion régulière du 6 mars 2017. B. Réunion du comité plénier du 6 mars 2017. 10.2. Réception des procès-verbaux des réunions suivantes. A. Comité de dérogation du 19 janvier 2017. 10.3. Les recommandations suivantes du comité plénier du 6 mars 2017. A. Transfert de fonds de réserve pour des travaux d'urgence à la bibliothèque publique de Clarence-Rockland. 10.4. Résolution pour proclamer le 4 avril 2017 comme Journée nationale des soins infirmiers en oncologie. 10.5. Résolution pour embaucher un trésorier à temps plein. 10.6. Résolution pour adopter les salaires payés. 10.7. Résolution pour adopter l'état et de la rémunération et des indemnités payées aux membres du Conseil en 2016.
Secondé. Mme Simard, est-ce qu'il y en a que vous voulez sortir?
J'avais juste une question vite faite sur 10.7.
On va y faire.
André, la norme n'est pas au même nombre que nous autres.
J'ai vu ça.
C'est la réponse facile, c'est le Bring Your Own Device.
Ah.
Celui-là.
OK.
J'ai une petite somme additionnelle pour ça. Parce que moi, je prends mon cellulaire personnel pour l'email. Juste ça.
OK. Autre chose? Tout le monde en faveur? Merci.
Excuse, monsieur le maire,
Oui.
je l'ai lu un peu trop vite, c'est pour ça que on n'avait pas entendu.
Ça revient à la même chose.
OK.
Compte payé.
Soit résolu que les comptes payés pour la période du 11 février 2017 au 10 mars 2017 au montant de 1 402 314,80 soient adoptés tels que recommandés.
Secondé. Mme Simard. Question? Tout le monde en faveur? Merci. Budget 2017 pour les déchets. Et voilà. Let the fun begin. Monsieur Devers, voulez-vous lire ça?
Attends, mais ça se fait. OK, ça va être...
11.2.
Moi, il scribe, ben, c'est vrai, moi.
Moi, j'ai les deux, c'est le pire. Hein?
T'as lu ton papier, ouais.
Ouais. Résolution. Entendu que le comité plénier a donné la directive au personnel le 6 mars 2017 de proposer une option additionnelle où différents frais seraient établis pour les différents types de commerce et qu'il soit résolu qu'aucune priorité commerciale ne soit ajoutée au programme de collection des ordures et qu'il soit aussi résolu que l'option 2 du rapport numéro FIN 2017-007 soit approuvée, soit que l'utilisateur du programme commercial paie basé sur son utilisation des services résultant avec un taux résidentiel de 168,50, client résidentiel 275 et client commercial qui utilise des sacs est de 238 la tonne pour les clients commerciaux qui utilisent des contenants et qu'il soit aussi finalement résolu qu'un règlement soit préparé pour adopter les budgets d'opération et d'immobilisation tels qu'identifiés au document 2 et au document 4 du rapport numéro FIN 2017-007.
Secondé. Monsieur Lalonde. Question. Monsieur Berlaguet.
Oui. J'avais des questions pour M. Guillaume.
Oui.
Mais moi, mes questions, c'est plus pour réfléchir un peu parce que je suis pas là, pour me mettre un peu à jour, peut-être vous réfléchir un peu avant. Parce que en étudiant le budget, ce que je trouvais curieux, c'est la grosse différence entre 2015 et 2016.
C'est parce qu'on a changé de compagnie.
Oui.
On était en soumission.
Oui, oui, oui.
On a eu 2 soumissions. L'autre compagnie nous disait tout le temps qu'elle avait soumissionné trop bas. On a extensionné parce que dans notre contrat, c'était marqué qu'on pouvait faire des extensions d'un an à l'autre. La dernière année, ils nous ont dit on ajoute un montant, mais on ne le fait plus après. C'est pour ça qu'on a été obligé d'aller à 2 nouvelles compagnies. Puis les prix sont là.
Non, je comprends. Mais est-ce que je pourrais poser des questions à
Oui.
M. Guillaume? It's just looking at the budget. And I don't know if you have it in front of you, but if I compare. Okay, I understand the budget revenue from recycling was greatly overestimated for 2016, and it was adjusted after the fact, but it still came in at less than what we received, revenue we received in 2015. So 2016, we had forecasted increase in recycling, and it went down. Just wondering how that came about.
Yeah, I guess, excuse me, I'll speak in English, but I don't know what component of the budget, are you looking at the recycling revenue?
Yeah, the revenue first.
Yeah, the revenue was, in 2016 was $285,000. And we looked into that, and I think that was an error. It shouldn't have been that much. The number actually should have been closer to $160,000, and you see that numbers reflects either both previous and then moving forward. And that number is generated by the Waste Diversion Ontario. All municipalities submit their garbage collection tonnages and their diversion and whatnot, administrative costs, and they work out a percentage that you'll receive of that amount for grant purposes. So they give us those numbers, and it's based on numbers 2 years back. So it's not even necessarily current numbers, but that's the process that they use. So in 2016, they would have used 2014 data that the municipality had. But they gave us a letter saying the grant for 2016 was going to be $160,000. I can't explain how it got to be $285,000. But moving forward, I think when you look at the numbers on that revenue line, we've now adjusted it
Okay,
accordingly.
so that revenue is actually a grant
That's right.
based on what was recycled 2 years ago. So
Yeah,
it's
and
got,
the formula they use is they reach back to.
so it's got nothing to do with what happened in 2016.
Yeah.
It's just what really happened. Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay,
that's, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it probably answers the third question I have also.
Okay.
But I'll go. The second question is that the garbage collection contracts, which is what we're talking about with Tomlinson, I assume, went up by about 22% from 2015 to 2016. But in that same budget, the what we call the garbage collection, and then what we call the garbage disposal salaries and
Yes.
benefits
Yeah,
went up by 47% from
Right.
2015 to 2016.
and the explanation or the rationale behind that is that in that year, we brought on a new staff person. Prior to that year, it was just it was a single person. Denny Lompré was the sole person in the environmental part. We hired an environmental technician, and so that annualized amount drove the salary line up. And I think your calculation is about right. It was over 40% increase.
Okay, so the increase in 2016 was not just because of the
An
renegotiation.
additional staff person.
It was also we increased the staff, so costs overall grew. I guess the population also was growing, so we were assuming more revenue would be coming in probably. And I guess that's the next question, is we went from, well, I guess no, it's the same thing, the total cost of recycling contracts, I guess that also had to do with Tomlinson, the contracts.
Yes.
That part went up by over 100% from 2015 to 2000. So it was a huge difference in our contracts and the costs.
There's no question bringing in the Tomlinson contract versus what we were experiencing before. It resulted in an increase, but it was through a public tendering process, and those are the numbers that we got.
And I must say, even when we got the contracts the year before that with the other ones, W something, WSI, they were much lower than everybody else, and I think they sort of missed the ballpark on their price and had to respect their contract, so.
Actually, and if I can add to that, I think there were some companies who were just getting out of the business of household collection in general, and so Tomlinson was one that's actually increasing their footprint in that area.
Okay. Well, that explains how we jumped from such a higher budget, 45% overall from 2015 to 2016.
Yeah.
And there's not much of a difference now. We're discussing 2017 budget. And we're just trying to, it makes sense now that we're trying to balance that with what happened in 2016. But what's new now is we've discovered that we're not charging commercial enough. Because we raised, in 2016, we raised the residential rate significantly, so now we're thinking about dropping it back.
Well, depending on the solution we choose.
True, okay. Okay, thank you.
Should I know?
I'm gonna revert to table two. Table two, just so it's easier for everyone. Basically, those are our options. To me, option two is not a really good fit right now, just because paying $238 a ton, even though it's the actual cost of what it actually costs the city to manage those bins, would probably, and the report actually states this, have a few of those big emitters transferring over to private, which would mean that everybody else's rates would have to go up afterwards to compensate for that. So to me, that's too much of a gamble to take. I'd be more impressed to say that we either go with option one, status quo modified, or option four, which stabilizes the rate for the residential. They don't have any increase as to what they had last year. There's a slight decrease for the commercial bags, which is what we intended to do in the first place, is to make sure that these businesses that don't have bins have a more appropriate rate. And the ones who do have the bins, I think there's about 20, no, 61, 81 of them, yeah, that have bins that generate more garbage, are encouraged to recycle a little bit more by paying a little bit more at $1,000 per year.
But I must say, at $1,000 a year, it's not enough, Mr. Dillon. Some of the people we have here are generating 89 tons of garbage for $571.
But, you know,
If
for the following years, well, they need to be,
I would like, I don't mind your option 4, but I would start by the ton on the commercial bins. Start, let's say, at $100 a ton, which would be reasonable. We could maybe lower a bit, 189, by charging $100 a ton. It's less than half of what it's really costing us. Mr. Keogh.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to introduce the report just briefly, if I could. The report was written directly from the resolutions made at the previous council, which Councilor Navat read. So they were basically developed to deal with two things. That was what council felt was a subsidy going from residential to commercial, and also the eliminating the transfer station from our existing contract. So all of the options, and sorry, Mr. Mayor, and to deal with a more equitable treatment of the commercial garbage. In the resolution, it's talked about small, medium versus large. That's difficult to do, so that's why the report has the options that it put forward. I just wanted to mention, Mr. Mayor, that all of the options have the leaf and yard waste eliminated from the Tomlinson contract, because they agreed to do that. And we've increased the transfer station, as council requested, from 1 to 1.5 days per week. And that those are all included within the options that you find in the table. The options in the table, Mr. Mayor, of option 2 that was recommended by staff, the consideration was made that there could be a loss of some of the clients from going to full cost recovery. The information we have, however, is that they will end up paying probably the same amount elsewhere. They could have opinions that the city has done this all of a sudden, or what have you. They could be upset with the city and just go with somebody else just to do that. So there is that risk, Mr. Mayor. That's why in the recommendation there are 2, and that part was not read out, but there is a part 4, and that's basically 2 options that council can consider to lessen the impact on the commercial rate, going with the user rate system. The alternative A, if you will, Mr. Mayor, keeps the residential rate at $168.50 for the residents, and that is the cost of the residential client.
But are you looking at option 4 or option 3 then?
Option 3.
It's basically the way the report ran, but option 4 is meant to be, council needs to consider option 4 as a subset of option 3, because it basically allows council to consider 2 different ways of offering that user pay approach. So the part A, Mr. Mayor, keeps it at $168.50, and it's important for council to understand that that is the cost of the residential ratepayer, and there's not really, council should not be passing any of its costs from one ratepayer to the other, as has been done in the past. So that's why I'm recommending the full user rate, or subset A, which basically lessens that to a certain extent. So it keeps the residential rate at 168.50. What it does is it puts a higher per bag cost of 571, so it lessens the impact on the other commercial people by the ones with bags paying a bit more, which I think is fully at the option of council to do. And then sets a rate at 185 per ton as opposed to 238, which is 77% of the full rate for commercial.
May I ask
Where-
what document you're looking
Yeah,
at right
we
now?
don't, I don't have that.
It's the
Sorry,
first
Rob.
page.
It's not the second email that he sent.
No, it's the first
It's
page.
But
it's
it's in-
recommendation 4.
It's not this.
It's not on the
No,
page.
it's not on the printed copy.
It's not in the table.
Right.
It's recommendation 4, after recommendation 3. I didn't put it in the table.
You were talking about the email you sent?
No, in the report. It's
It's on the
recommendation 4.
in the report.
Yeah.
The table addresses the options council asked for from us.
So that would be other retained commercial subsidy.
Yeah. No, it was in the report
No.
itself. You're looking at the budget.
Well, then, we're lost here because
I don't.
I'm
I
not.
don't.
what I've got here.
I don't know where you're at.
Okay, go scroll up now. Go scroll up.
Okay.
Don't look at your tables, look at your
There,
first
there.
page.
Option four.
Yeah.
First page of,
That here.
Right at the
of
bottom.
the wages budget.
Right at the bottom.
Okay.
And that makes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Where your recommendations are in
Non,
your
pas
report.
celle-là, l'autre page avant.
So you-
No, celle-là.
Of course, it's the
Monsieur,
one I didn't.
Councilor Lavire read out, and be it further resolved that the budget in document 2 for operating and document 4 for capital be approved. So he had stopped there. There's a further section below that, and that's what I'm referring to.
Okay.
Okay, and it reads, should council wish to lessen the impact on the commercial ratepayer, there's 2 other options they can consider. Staff's recommendation was to go to the one above, and that was the full rate of 238. However, as council alone has suggested, and the report suggests, there are some risks in doing that, because if anybody leaves the contract, there's gonna be a deficit in the garbage contract. So I'm suggesting to council that there are 2 alternatives that they could undertake other than the staff recommendation. And the first one is to maintain a residential rate. Is everybody with me now?
4A.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or to maintain a residential rate of 168.5. The important
Yeah.
thing to understand is that is the true cost to a residential ratepayer. 571 for commercial bags and 185 a ton for commercial clients that use bins. Or, and this is not one I would recommend because it keeps the residential rate at 189, which I'm unsure whether even council has the authority to do that. 275 for commercial clients that use bags and 89 a ton for commercial clients that use bins. So the tonnage charge goes down considerably because the residential ratepayer is continuing to subsidize the commercial ratepayer.
Yeah, but I find that your B gives a warning to your commercial bin people that this is going up. Gonna give them and gradually they can fix their budget, because to go the full price, you're really whopping them with an awful bill compared to what they've been getting. I just like to see it going gradually, which item B is doing.
But 275 for commercial with bags?
That could go up.
That's not high
No,
enough.
that could go up.
Because you're talking about 189 for people who have 3 bags and 275 for a business that can go up to 10 bags.
Doesn't make any sense.
Like-
That doesn't make sense to me.
But if you look at it was done, the intention was if you go to your document 5, Mr. Mayor. Put it up here. Document 5, which shows the tonnage,
Yeah, okay.
okay? In the column, the far right column at $89, you would have some of your commercial would be paying $275. Like the lowest commercial would be paying $275, just above. So I wouldn't want, the bins should pay as much as the bag. So the lowest one in the lowest, you see at the bottom of the table,
Okay.
number 81, they're paying $275. So that was the intent of how that one was built up. That's why that rate of $275 was picked up.
But probably those people around, I don't know, 78 to 81, they probably don't even need a bid. You just do it because it looks cleaner. Or do they actually have the tonnage to actually require a bid? That's the other question.
Probably not.
So,
But that's,
because $2.75 for a commercial for 10 bags is a friggin' good deal.
It's also a big drop from the $6.49 they're paying now.
Yeah.
I like the option A. Dropping it, everybody gets a reduction. And all the 81 big ones are paying still 77% of full value. You're
Yeah,
still
but
getting a
then
bit
you're
of a
gonna
deal.
kill, you're
We're
gonna kill a
hurting your
few,
commercial.
uh,
We're trying to get businesses in commercial,
Yeah.
and we're hitting them hard the first year.
Yeah.
That's why I'd like to go.
everybody knows that, you know, it's been not managed properly for the cost for years. But you can't in 1 year say, hey, instead of paying $6.46, this year you're paying $10,000. It makes no sense to me.
Well, I like Mr. Desjardins may be suggesting that we could try option B at $98 a ton for 2017.
But
And
up
consider
your-
going to, in 2018, going to option
Still too much. In 2 years, you're gonna go from 646 to 18 grand.
Well, you
A. For the
can-
big one,
you-
for
you don't
for
have
the
to go-
biggest guy.
You can go up gradually to add a certain percentage every year if you want to. You can
Yeah,
decide
well,
on that.
I'm sure these businesses know that they've been getting a bargain. I mean,
Yeah.
they know it's coming.
Mr. Zen?
no, you know what, I actually don't think that they know that they've been getting a bargain, but my problem is forget people dropping off the bin program, they're gonna leave. There are certain businesses that will shut their doors if you hike them as much as we say. My whole thing here, Mr. Kehoe, is like, it says $238 per ton, right? But it doesn't necessarily, I'm using 4A for an example. And what sheet were you referring to where we can look at the tonnage?
Document 5.
Document 5. So how much exactly is $238
What is-
per ton? Could,
So if you look at item 1,
yeah,
first site,
yeah, 89.
takes estimated annual kilograms of 79,644. So at 238 per ton, they'll pay 18,960.
Yeah,
Versus 646.
but that's where I think that that's insane. I'm not saying you're insane. I think that the price is
And
insane.
that one's not even a business.
I think, here's where I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement with the residential rate. I'm in agreement, or I'm not in agreement with the 275 for commercial. I think that could be higher. But I do not think that, that we should be charging $238 a ton. I think that's too much. Because you have some businesses, I won't name them, but we have some that are, we'll just say restaurants. Their tonnage is way more, because food weighs so much more than, let's say, somebody who's got a bin that's just stacking it with cardboard because they don't want to recycle it. So, I have like over, I think, close to 200 businesses in my ward alone. I'm not saying that I'm awarding this because I understand it's a city issue, but $18,000 to get rid of garbage.
That's why I like solution B. You're not taxing your commercial so hard. You can raise the second one, commercial client.
We can raise the
bags.
commercial client, yeah, but
Leave
I
it at
think
the same thing.
we can lower the 238. That's what we
Well,
have,
B says $89 a ton. You start
$89
slow.
a ton.
But you're still paying $6,000-7,000.
Mm-hmm.
How can you in 1 year say to a business?
We can't justify that.
Oh, sorry, you're going from 646 to $7,000. And
Well, right now
and look him in the face.
Right
while
now, you're
doing it.
making your residential pay.
Yeah,
You're
but
saying
Yeah.
pay for the bill.
like I said earlier, we know the system hasn't been set up right, but you can't fix it in 1 year and say, hey, bang.
But that's what we're saying, you could do it gradually, you could do it 37% this year, 77% next year.
Well,
Maybe
37% is
but the
89.
bottom line is, as Mr. Keogh explained, they've calculated that it costs the
No,
city
we know that.
$238 a ton for those bins.
Everybody knows that.
So we're trying to eventually get to that real
Yeah,
cost.
but you need to be sure that those businesses, or in cases of number 89, which is not a business, it's a nonprofit, is able to absorb those
But
costs.
number 89 is the one that makes the more garbage.
I know.
And if I look, I compare to another place, they have a budget of $15,500 for waste. Why? Because their garbage is heavy. And it's the same kind of business.
What do other municipalities do? I know we always go back to
It's-
this. What's
is it
Russell,
not
what's
percentage?
everybody else doing?
They brought us a report, and I believe it's
We're the only ones that do
percentage.
commercial right now.
So we have to keep
Really?
in mind that we're in contract right now. And if we had chosen to go for a bag option, which is what Russell does, and what some of the other municipalities do, we have a different fee structure. So we're trying to come up, in any case, they would be at the rate they're at, and they don't have the bin situation, right?
Yeah.
So it's because we have the bins that is causing this problem.
Yes, Mr. Gill?
Mr. Mayor, also wearing the Economic Development Act, I am aware that businesses will be affected. But, and I understand council's wish to lessen the blow and take some time to do this. But in the long term, the businesses that are strong, this is just the cost of business, and they all incur these costs of businesses. So when they compare themselves with anyone else in any other city that does it, that most of them are paying commercial rates already. So it's just the way that we have historically done it. They have to.
And as we were caught, when we had the contract with the other company, we were paying a low price. Now we've gone up to the price that's reality with Thomason. We have to pay. There's no doubts about that. Monsieur Levac.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I don't think we should be subsidizing the businesses, first of all. I agree that maybe we could step it up, but gradually. But I think most of the businesses that we do subsidize, they know the rate they'd be paying if they'd be having the business for garbage in Ottawa or any other township, because I think we're the only one who are doing commercial right now. So I think they know what's to be expected.
Businesses that have other sites in other municipalities, yeah, I agree with you. But most of probably half of those businesses, it's the only business they have, and it's in Clarence Toronto. So no, they would not know what they'd be paying outside.
Well, I'm sure they inquired, I'm sure.
Well, you're assuming.
No, I'm not assuming. I've had a business before, and I've checked the prices when it's time to check for anything for your business, you know. You're gonna try and get the best price you can. So when the commercial came up, I checked. But why should I go commercial when I'm paying less with our municipality?
Monsieur Zat?
Mr. Kehoe, I'm just throwing this out there. Why don't we give them a 1-year notice and we're getting out of the bin industry? What's the financial impact on just saying we're no longer going to do this, just like every other municipality in Presque Isle Russell seems to?
Well, the issue is we're in, as Ellen mentioned, CEO mentioned, we're in a contract right now.
Yeah.
We have a contract with Tomlinson for 5 years. We're in the second year. And in that contract, we told them we wanted them to do bin pickup work.
Okay.
So it's
I
what we
just
had
wanted to know.
originally asked for council is to give us a year to sit down with Tomlinson and maybe work out more scenarios here, but in the time being, we have to set a rate. We have to bill our taxpayers.
I'm okay with the 189. I think the 275 should go up, maybe even to the 571 for
Yeah.
commercial client.
And then whatever's left goes to
But-
it.
But it cannot be $89 a ton.
Well, it wouldn't be if you bring up the other ones from
So
275.
I'd like to see what that option would
Yeah,
look like.
me too.
So which one?
Kind of a mix of the two, a mix of A and B.
Okay, so that-
B?
160, 50,
Mais dans
571.
275,
Okay, okay.
il y a bien
One-
What do you
500.
want your tonnage at? 80, more than 89?
Basically, let's see how much money is left and then we'll figure out what
But
the
if it's
tonnage should be.
168.50 to 571 a ton, then it's 185 as A describes.
Non, on mettrait B, il serait à 189 résidentiel, 571 commercial with bags, puis whatever is left would be transferred over to bids. Fait que ça serait moins que 89 piastres la tonne.
Because at that
How
point, we
much,
just,
how much time do you need to figure that, Mr. Gill?
You got 2
Well,
minutes.
go ahead. We can go to, before the council.
Okay. Okay, let's keep going. We'll come back to it when Mr. Q has an answer for
we're
us.
counting on the fly. It's all yours.
Fait qu'on laisse la résolution suspens pour
Oui.
tout de suite?
Ouais.
Merci.
Alors, don d'un véhicule d'urgence de CUPR.
Qu'il soit résolu que le Conseil autorise l'administration à procéder à la préparation de toute la documentation nécessaire afin, d'accepter le don d'un Ford Expedition 2009 des Comtés unis de Prescott Russell pour utiliser en tant que véhicule d'urgence par le département d'incendie.
Secondé. Monsieur Lemaire, question? Oui, Monsieur Lalonde.
Mr. Wilson, pretty soon you're gonna have more vehicles than most departments in the city. I know this one is being donated, but,
Hey, this one's free.
well, nothing is
It's not-
free.
Well,
We still have to.
You still have
you
to
get the
pay.
horse free, so you gotta buy the saddle. Big deal.
What was that? Mr. Wilson's just sitting there.
Qu'est-ce qu'il veut du temps français?
questions or?
It was more of a statement.
It was just a statement.
Tout le monde en faveur? Merci.
You're good.
Règlements municipaux. Est-ce qu'il y a un règlement que quelqu'un veut sortir? OK.
Non, c'est bon.
OK. Quelqu'un veut le lire? Madame Simon?
Be it resolved that the following bylaws be adopted. Number 12.1, 2017-33, to authorize the signature of an agreement with the Comité de loisirs de Bourget. 12.2, 2017-34, to appoint the Director of Protective Services as Municipal Law Enforcement Officer. 12.3, 2017-35, to adopt the terms of reference of the Multi-Workplace Joint Health and Safety Committees. 12.4, 2017-36, to appoint a treasurer.
Secondé? Tout le monde en faveur? Monsieur Lalonde. You ready?
Commercial bags at $571.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, the attendance charge would be $35.50.
Hold on one second.
No, thank you.
So 571 be $39 a ton.
$35.
$35 a ton. Ça monterait à 35 pièces la tonne. 571 pour le commercial en sac.
So how much would that be?
189 pour les résidents.
Oui. 571 pour les sacs,
Hein, ça?
puis 35 la tonne.
Comparé à 185, là,
Oui.
c'est pas bon ça.
Oui, parce que les autres prennent la relève.
It's a lot more ratepayers than.
With
It's
bags.
$20 that you take. $20 times 9,000, that's $18,000.
No, it is.
Wait, it's $18,000 that you're recuperating, right?
At $238. No, no.
No.
At 1,200 tons, that's $15.
Because of the 232 properties, people in bags, Mr. Mayor, picking up that,
No, but there's 81 properties that are paying by the ton.
so in bags,
Bags.
32.
Bags. Il y en a que c'est
Residential,
commercial.
commercial bags.
That's
Ils n'ont pas de bille.
64,000
Il y en a juste des
extra
sacs.
revenue.
Ah, OK.
OK.
Ouais.
Il y a trois niveaux.
Non, mais ça, c'est les 571.
Oui.
Mais la par tonne, là, c'est pour les billes, non?
Oui.
OK. Il y a juste 81 avec des billes.
Oui.
Ouais, mais c'est pas ça qui était le prix avant 500.
Ça va, c'était
Non, mais-
89.
89.
On a changé de 275
Can you go on that? Can we have a phase-in?
Ça, ça a monté
Mais
le
les-
revenu, puis ça a baissé le taux.
Is there a room in the budget for a phase-in over a couple
À
of
cause
years?
de...
Vous nous montrez
To
ça.
bring in-
Ouais, mais moi, je regarde. Je pensais qu'il était pour
Just
aller
wondering. I don't know. I'm throwing it out there.
à l'option A.
I thought we were doing option A.
Non, mais si tu regardes l'option A, tu as dit qu'il avait déjà été sur 500.
Non, parce que
Oui.
l'option A,
Fait
c'était.
que là, qu'est-ce qu'il a fait? On rajoute 20
On laisse le 500.
On est allé
Il y a 5
189
c'est 20
pour
de
la
plus par
moitié
par résident pour un 9 000 résidents.
Oui, ça fait 18 000.
C'est ça, là.
Oh non, c'est 20 fois 180 000. OK.
You're leaving residential at 189.
Yep.
correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. 189 for residential, as is. 571 for the bags,
$5
and $35 a ton, which would be much more reasonable as far as I'm concerned, and would help our commercial.
So how much are we looking at per year for an average bin user? At
You
30.
go from 275 to 2,800.
Well, it's not that bad. It's a start. We're being very soft,
Oh, I understand.
you know.
I understand. But that's why I wanted to know, would we be able to phase in this over a couple of years?
Well, are we still
That is
mandating
phasing
staff to
in.
look at?
That's phasing it
Yeah.
in?
That's a
Yeah, we'll be phasing
considerable
in.
discount to what
Yeah.
they should be paying.
eventually, as far as I'm concerned, we should be upping the commercial one and lowering our residential.
Yeah, no,
But
it's,
we can start that next year.
I understand.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Kehoe. I like that
There-
better than it was
Everybody in
before.
favor of that one?
Yes, sir.
Well,
Vous avez une résolution sur la table,
Oui.
puis là, vous voulez changer,
Les-
j'imagine, le dernier paragraphe.
Option B, c'est celle qui est 4B.
Ben là, ça va aller à 4B, mais 4B modifié. 4B va être résidentiel à 189.
OK, la résolution telle que vous l'avez lue,
oui.
It's the option B,
on parle,
option B.
Yeah, 4B.
on parle de l'option 2, fait que ça serait pas...
Non,
Non.
vraiment,
Ça,
Madame
on
Ouellette,
enlève ça.
ceci est défait, puis on peut refaire une nouvelle résolution, parce que comme c'est là, il n'y a aucun taux là-dedans qui est le même.
4B modifié.
Est-ce que vous
Fait
voulez
que
qu'on la
vous
dé...
votez là-dessus.
On va voter celle qui
Restez
était
sur la
dessus,
table
qui
pour
était
le
contre.
faire.
OK.
OK.
Alors, est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un qui est en faveur de la résolution qui a été lue? Non? Merci.
C'est défait.
Défait.
OK.
Nouvelle résolution, on va dire que le résidentiel va être à 189 comme qui était. Le commercial client avec sac va être 571. Et le client avec des commerciales complets à la tonne va être 35 la tonne.
OK, ça va.
35, 50.
35 et 50. Je
35 et 50
reste
la
corrigé.
tonne. Ah, c'est ça, c'est pour moi.
Pour les whites.
36.
189 pour le résidentiel?
Ouais.
Oui.
Oui,
571 le commercial?
commercial avec sac
OK.
et 35 la tonne pour les commerciales.
35 et
Avec
50
moi.
la tonne.
Oui.
Fait que ça, c'est la résolution.
Proposé par M. Lalonde, secondé par M. Zant. Tout le monde en faveur? Merci.
Juste avant de continuer, M. le maire, il y avait une résolution pour les débris de jardin qui n'avait pas été apportés du comité plénier à aller au régulier pour défrayer les coûts pour Tomlinson. Le coût là, pour le budget 2016 qui manquait. Parce que ça avait tout été envoyé.
Is that coming back for the garden and leaf and garden, whatever you want to call it there? That's included in there?
Non.
It's done.
It's done?
Yeah.
C'est passé, ça. Exact.
OK, mais ça n'a
Oh,
pas lieu
ouais.
au régulier, là.
No, it hasn't.
Fait que j'ai préparé une résolution dans les scribes pour approuver le 50 315 plus taxes pour défrayer à Tomlinson pour le budget pour les factures de 2016.
Oui.
OK? Puis pour garder la transfer station
De-
ouverte
Une
un jour
journée
et
à
demi.
1,5, ouais.
Fait qu'il y a une résolution là
Ouais.
que j'ai rajoutée. Si quelqu'un veut, si vous êtes d'accord
Proposer.
de la lire, ça pourrait être fait.
On peut la lire ou pas?
Oui.
Ah oui, fort, M.
Be it
Lalonde.
resolved that council approves that Tomlinson Environmental Services be compensated $50,315 plus tax for leaf and yard collection for the year 2016, and be it resolved that the chief administrative officer be instructed to find out how much it would cost to the city to terminate the existing no, that's not the one.
Juste enlever ce paragraphe-là.
Juste enlever ce paragraphe-là, M.
C'est
Ok.
juste ce paragraphe-là. Je peux je l'ai mouvé.
Okay, and be it
directement.
resolved that council approve the transfer station remains open 1 day and a half per week. Right?
C'est ça. Secondé. M. Lalonde. Question? Tout le monde en faveur? Merci.
Je voudrais juste dire un petit mot. I know we threw you guys a curveball last week with this going back to get new numbers, so I just wanted to thank Mr. Kehoe, Mr. Darch, and Madame Collier on this, because I know that they came back pretty quickly with some options, so. Thank
M.
you.
Lompré aussi, ça fait des
Monsieur
années que
Lompré,
Monsieur
sorry,
Lompré-
you, honestly, your
Mais
head
il
fits
est
exactly
d'habitude-
behind Mr. Kehoe's. I didn't see you.
Denis,
From my angle?
Denis is used to taking garbage anyway, so. Yeah, thank you very much, people. Alors, règlement de confirmation.
Qu'il soit résolu que le règlement numéro 2015-36 étant un règlement de confirmation pour la réunion régulière du 20 mars 2017 soit adopté.
Secondé, M. Zant. Tout le monde en faveur? Merci. Ajournement à 8h07. Alors, on doit réouvrir la réunion régulière pour mettre un amendement dans l'item 11.2, budget de 2017 pour les déchets. L'amendement va être que le résidentiel va tomber à 187,50 et on va mettre un minimum pour les bins de 571 $.
Minimum.
Minimum.
Ça veut dire qu'il y a un maximum.
Maximum, non. Si
Ok,
tu as
minimum.
100 tonnes, tu vas
Zéro.
payer 3500.
Là, c'est plus 35,50 par tonne?
Ça, c'est 35 la tonne, 35,50 pour la tonne, mais un minimum de 571. Que ça, tu payes pas moins pour une bin.
Ah,
que
je
tu vas payer
comprends,
pour
oui,
le
oui.
sac.
OK,
OK?
je comprends. Oui.
Donc, les deux vont être minimum.
C'est pour ça que
Minimum.
le résidentiel va diminuer de $1 et 7 cents.
OK.
OK?
Est-ce que...
C'est correct, Monique?
Donc, le résidentiel 87 et 50.
187 et 50.
187, OK. Ça valait la peine de le répéter.
Oui.
Et un minimum de 591.
571 pour
571.
les bins.
Pour les bins.
Les bins, puis c'est 35 et 50.
La
La tonne,
Oui.
oui.
OK. Y a-t-il quelqu'un qui a proposé?
Proposé
qui a secondé,
par
pour
Gilles Levert,
reconsidérer cette
secondé M.
présentation-là,
Zan.
là?
Ouais.
Puis,
Tout le monde en faveur? Tout le monde en faveur, M. Levert, hein? Oui. Bon. Et voilà. Alors, on referme la... Ça me prend un proposeur pour fermer la réunion régulière. Non? OK. Calme, c'est pas trop difficile,
changer
ça?
les- faut que ça-
C'est bon? OK. On finit celle-là.